Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sarvabhauma Bhakta-vrinda ki jai. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastacha Deshatarine. So today we're continuing our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, entitled The Cosmic Manifestation. Chapter 10, Srimad Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions, and today's text is number 44. Please repeat, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Itam bhavena katito.
Itam bhavena katito.
Itam bhavena katito.
Itam bhavena katito.
Bhagavan Bhagavatama.
Bhagavan Bhagavatama.
Bhagavan Bhagavatama.
Bhagavan Bhagavatama.
Netam bhavena hi param.
Netam bhavena hi param.
Netam bhavena hi param.
Netam bhavena hi param.
Drashtum arhanti suraya.
Drashtum arhanti suraya.
Drashtum arhanti suraya.
Drashtum arhanti suraya.
Itam bhavena katito.
Itam bhavena katito.
Bhagavan Bhagavatama.
Bhagavan Bhagavatama.
Itam bhavena hi param.
Itam bhavena hi param.
Drashtum arhanti suraya.
Drashtum arhanti suraya.
Please chant.
Itam bhavena katito.
Itam bhavena katito.
Bhagavan Bhagavatamaha.
Bhagavan Bhagavatama.
Netam bhavena hi param.
Netam bhavena hi param.
Drashtam arhanti suryaha.
Drashtum arhanti suraya. Itam bhavena katito.
Itam bhavena katito.
Bhagavan Bhagavatamaha.
Bhagavan Bhagavatamaha.
Netam bhavena hi param.
Netam bhavena hi param.
Drashtum arhanti suraya.
Drashtum arhanti suraya.
Itam bhavena katito.
Itam bhavena katito.
Bhagavan Bhagavatamaha.
Bhagavan Bhagavatamaha.
Itam bhavena hi param.
Netam bhavena hi param.
Drashtum arhanti suryaha.
Drashtum arhanti suraya. Itam bhavena katito. Bhagavan Bhagavatamaha. Netam bhavena hi param. Drashtum arhanti suraya.
Itam bhavena katito.
Itam bhavena katito.
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
Bhagavatamaha.
Bhagavatamaha.
Netam bhavena hi param.
Netam bhavena hi param.
Drashtum arhanti suraya.
Drashtum arhanti suraya.
Anybody else?
Itam bhavena katito.
Itam bhavena katito.
Bhagavan Bhagavatamaha.
Bhagavan Bhagavatamaha.
Netam bhavena hi param.
Netam bhavena hi param.
Drashtum arhanti surya.
Drashtum arhanti surya. Word for word synonyms, please repeat. Itam.
Tam.
In these features.
In these features.
Bhavena.
Bhavena.
The matter of creation and destruction.
The matter of creation and destruction.
Katita.
Katita.
Describe.
Describe.
Bhagavan.
Bhagavan.
The personality of Godhead.
The personality of Godhead.
Bhagavatamaha.
Bhagavatamaha.
By the great transcendentalists.
By the great transcendentalists.
Not. Itam. In this. Bhavena. Features. He. Only. Param. Most glorious. Drashtum. To see. Arhanti. Deserve. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The great transcendentalists thus describe the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the pure devotees deserve to see more glorious things in transcendence beyond these features. So what features are we talking about here? It says that the great transcendentalists thus describe the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We've been hearing for many, many verses about the activities of the Purusha, the creator of this world. And now it's said that the great transcendentalists thus describe the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the pure devotees deserve to see more glorious things in transcendence beyond these features. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The Lord is not only the creator and destroyer of the material manifestations of his different energies. He's more than a simple creator and destroyer. For there is his feature of Ananda, or his pleasure feature. This pleasure feature of the Lord is understood by the pure devotees only and not by others. So, up until this point, we've been hearing about the activities of the Purusha avatars, the Virat Rupa particularly. And here Prabhupada's saying, yeah, but hearing all this about how the Lord is the creator and destroyer, etc., has not gotten into his feature of Ananda, his pleasure feature. And this is the feature that the pure devotees deserve to hear about. This pleasure feature of the Lord is understood by the pure devotees only and not by others. The impersonalist is satisfied simply by understanding the all-pervasive influence of the Lord. This is called Brahman realization. Greater than the impersonalist is the mystic, who sees the Lord situated in his heart as Paramatma, the partial representation of the Lord. But there are pure devotees who take part in the direct pleasure potency, Ananda, of the Lord, by factual reciprocation of loving service. So the impersonalists, they achieve Brahman realization through jnana. Heavy-duty, big-time jnana. And by such jnana, one is to discern matter from spirit. One is actually to go beyond just theoretical understanding of matter and spirit, but one is supposed to actually come to the level of actually experiencing the self, which they take to be none different than Brahman. I am that, they say. So they achieve their destination or their realization through the very rigorous, difficult, long path, Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Many, many births on this path of jnana. And the mystic, they also undergo a very long path of meditation to recognize, to see Paramatma in the heart. But here, Prabhupada is saying the pure devotees, they take part in the direct pleasure potency of the Lord by factual reciprocation of loving service. They actually experience something that's active. The impersonalists have their Brahman realization, it's static. The yogis or mystics have their Paramatma realization. But once they break their meditation, back to the external world. There's nothing active there. But the devotees, they take part in the direct pleasure potency of the Lord by factual reciprocation of loving service. It's an active realization. The Lord in his abode, called the Vaikuntha planets, which are eternal manifestations, always remains with his associates and enjoys transcendental loving services by his pure devotees in different transcendental humors or rasas. The pure devotees of the Lord thus undergo a practice of that devotional service to the Lord during the manifestation of the creation, and take full advantage of the manifestation by qualifying themselves to enter into the kingdom of God. So here Prabhupada is saying, in the spiritual realm, the Lord is constantly surrounded by and interacting in loving exchanges with his eternal associates. And the pure devotees practice that devotional service. So we're undergoing practice of devotional service. That's called sadhana bhakti, where bhaktas in training, like apprentices. But Prabhupada says you're a pure devotee if you're undergoing such practice. So the pure devotees undergo a practice of that devotional service during the manifestation of the creation and take full advantage of the manifestation by qualifying themselves to enter into the kingdom of God. So here's the manifested material world, and everybody is taking it as their field of play. Like parents will give their kids a little playground. Here, go play. Go play in the backyard or something. So this cosmic manifestation, everybody's taking it as our playground. We get to enjoy and like pretend to be God. But the actual purpose of the manifestation is to utilize it to practice devotional service. So the devotees take advantage of the manifestation. They don't criticize it or condemn it or run away from it. They take full advantage of it and then become qualified to enter into the kingdom of God. Because if you can't figure out how to utilize everything within this world in Krishna's service, then that means you're not actually qualified to enter the kingdom of God. Because real Krishna prema means you don't see anything separate from Krishna, and you only see how it can be utilized for Krishna's pleasure. So we have to come to that point where we can see and utilize everything and everybody in the Lord's service. The Bhagavad Gita 1855 confirms this. Bhaktimam avichanati yavanashchasmi tattvataha tattvamam tattvato gyatva vishate karanantaram. By development of pure devotional service, one can factually know the Lord as he is, and thus be trained in the bona fide service of the Lord, and be allowed to enter into the direct association of the Lord in so many capacities. The highest glorious association with the Lord is made possible in the planet of Goloka Vrindavan, where Lord Krishna enjoys himself with the gopis and his favorite animals, the Surabhi cows. A description of this transcendental land of Krishna is given in the Brahma Samhita, which is considered by Lord Sri Chaitanya to be the most authentic literature in this connection. End of Srila Prabhupada's purport. So this is a very nice verse because as we patiently read through Srimad Bhagavatam, we're going to be constantly encountering sections where different speakers are teaching different students, and they inevitably, without fail, begin their teachings to their students with a description of the cosmic manifestation, the Bharat Purusha, the activities of the Purusha avatars, and we may find ourselves becoming a little impatient or might feel kind of bored with that description, but it's there for our purification, because otherwise, if we don't fully understand how the expansions of the Lord in the form of the Purusha avatars are creating and destroying this whole cosmos, then we will ignorantly or naively believe that material nature is doing it. So we have to first have a proper appreciation, then we can advance to the level of love. Before love comes appreciation and knowledge. So sometimes we say, well, the gopis don't have knowledge that Krishna's God. You know, the Gopas don't have knowledge that Krishna's God. Why do we have to keep dwelling on all this knowledge? You know, I feel like I'm in a college course or something. No, we aren't on that level of prema. So we do need to have thorough knowledge and understanding of God's potencies. In chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita, early purport, Prabhupada says that people know that God is great, but they do not know how God is great. So the Bhagavatam is emphasizing how God is great. Then in the end of chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita, after Krishna describes a sampling of his opulences and powers to Arjuna, he then turns to Arjuna and he says, what use is there of all this detailed knowledge? Like, don't make me have to keep going on and on. This is an endless list, by the way, my friend. We're going to be here like all day, all eternity. What use is all this detailed knowledge? With just a little spark of myself. You know, I pervade this whole universe. Like, let's get on to deeper subjects. So here in today's Bhagavatam verse, Shukadeva is telling Parikshit the same thing. After describing so much about the Bharat Purusha, he says, thus the great transcendentalists describe the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the pure devotees deserve to see more glorious things in transcendence beyond these features. Why do they deserve? To say I deserve something means I did something, like I have some adhikar, some eligibility or qualification to, you know, go beyond this. So what is it that the devotees have done to deserve to hear more, to go beyond these features of the Bharat Purusha? That deserving is that the pure devotees, they actually want to engage in loving service. They're not satisfied with liberation through Brahman realization. Thank you very much for my certificate of liberation, but I'm not satisfied. They're not satisfied with, I've gotten so, pure. I am so pure that I can perceive the super soul in my heart. No obstruction, no hindrance, no more anartas. I'm just me and Paramatma. And I can have mystic powers due to that connection. The pure devotee says, thank you very much, but I'm not satisfied. Oh, what do you want? I want to serve the Supreme Lord. I don't want anything from the Supreme Lord. I don't care for liberation. I don't care for mystic powers and opulences and I just want pure devotional service. Nadaram Janam Nasunyam Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Jamani Jamanishware Bhavata Bhaktir Hoitaki Tvai. I don't want all these things, Lord Chaitanya says. I just want pure devotional service. That's what the eligibility of the candidate for pure devotional service is. A strong desire simply to serve Krishna. So Prabhupada ended today's purport by saying that there's many beautiful descriptions of the beautiful personality of Gopal Krishna and his abode, Goloka Vrindavan. And that's what we're supposed to be attracted to. That's what we are attracted to. That's why we're taking to this path. So we have to be very intense and very vigilant that our mind is always attracted to Krishna. The world, even while we're associating with sadhakas, Maya is always going to be throwing at us different curveballs and fastballs, and she's going to keep throwing at us many, many, many opportunities at every moment for our mind to go somewhere else. Oh, family problems, financial difficulties, relationship difficulties, stress over here, politics over there, whatever. Anything under the sun. Maya will keep giving us plenty of opportunities for our mind to go elsewhere. But the mind is supposed to only be enchanted by the beautiful form and activities, qualities, etc. of Gopal Krishna, Vraja Krishna, the cowherd boy standing in threefold bending form with his flute, playing with the cows in the pastures with his friends in the forests. So I thought we could look at a few verses from Brahma Samhita. In the Brahma Samhita, we're hearing the prayers of Lord Brahma. When is Lord Brahma offering these prayers? Lord Brahma awoke atop the lotus flower after the waters of devastation were starting to recede. It was the dark night of Brahma, no sun, no moon, no light. From the navel of Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, the lotus flower sprouts. Lord Brahma takes his birth atop the lotus flower. He's there all by himself, and it's dark. And he sees the devastating waters with very fierce waves. And he's trying to figure out what to do. I'm supposed to create the material world, the universe, the planets, everything. The foggy side, and where is this all coming from? So he goes down the lotus stem in search of my origin, and doesn't reach success. Comes back to the top of the lotus, hears the word tapa, tapa. Oh, I'm supposed to perform austerity. He undergoes 1,000 years by the demigods meditation. And after that, purifying process, he actually meets Gopal Krishna. Gopal Tapani Upanishad says that he met Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, but Gopal Krishna manifested to him. And he gave him a vision of Vrindavan, the Goloka Vrindavan, like straight out. So Lord Brahma, at the beginning of Brahma Samhita, he's going through many verses in which he describes the process of creation. Mahavishnu and Shambhu and the time factor and the jivas and the material energy. And then he comes to the point in text 29 where he directly starts offering very sweet, beautiful prayers to Govinda. So I just thought we'd look at a few of these verses because this is what we're supposed to be meditating on all day. We have to keep our attraction, our attention on the beautiful, adorable form of Gopal Krishna, not 500,000 things that Maya throws at us all day long. So, text 29. Chintamani prakarasama sukalpa riksha laksha riteshu shivabhira vipalayantam lakshmi sahasra shakasamram sedyamanam govindamadi punishabdhamam vichami. Lord Brahma says, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who's tending the cows. Today, Radha Radhakanta and Gauri are wearing their cow outfit. So he's the first progenitor who's tending the cows, yielding all desire in abodes built with spiritual gems. The abode there is not made of concrete and rebar and sand and whatever, metal and brick. The abode there is made of spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees. Purpose trees means you go to the tree with a purpose and you get it fulfilled. Not the thorn trees that we have. Always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. Text 30. Now this is a verse. When we greet the deities in the morning, we actually chant 2 verses from the Brahma Samhita. And this is the first one that we chant in the morning. Venam kvanantam aravinda dalaya taksham varhavakam samasitam buddhasundaram kankandar kakoti kamaniya vishesha sholam govindamani pujantam vijani. What a beautiful meditation. When we greet the Lords in the morning, we might not know the word for word translation of the whole verse, but we should understand the overall translation. So what a beautiful meditation we're given in the morning. And here it is. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. Do we actually have that realization? Do we actually come before Radha Radhakanta and feel like, wow, such unique loveliness that charms millions of cupids? If we actually were meditating like that, we wouldn't walk out the door and 5 minutes later have our heart shot with the arrow of Cupid and become lusty after forms within this material world. The next verse, 31. Alola Chandra Kalasavanam Malyalam Shiva Nangadam Pranaya Keli Kalavilasam Shamam Tribanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindamadi Purishandanam Vichami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers, beautified with the moon locket, whose 2 hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Shyamsundar is eternally manifest. And then the next verse, the final verse I think that we'll look at, 32, this is the second verse from the Brahma Samhita that we chant in the morning at greeting of the deities. Another beautiful meditation. Anjani yasya sakalandriya vritti-manti pashyanti bhakti kalayanti chiram jaganti ananda chinmaya sadujvalake ananda chinmaya sadujvala vigrahasya govindamadi purujantanam vijami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. So in these few verses that we looked at, well, I want to look at the purport of text 29, short purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. By the word Chintamani is meant transcendental gem. Just as Maya builds this mundane universe with the 5 material elements, so the spiritual potency, Chit, has built the spiritual world of transcendental gems. The Chintamani, which serves as material in the building of the abode of the Supreme Lord of Goloka, is far rarer and more agreeable entity than the Philosopher's Stone. I believe when he refers to the Philosopher's Stone, he's referring to the touchstone that you can supposedly get your desires fulfilled. The purpose tree, so now he's mentioning the purpose tree, which is found in the heavenly planets. The purpose tree yields only the fruits of piety, wealth, fulfillment of desire, and liberation. But the purpose trees in the abode of Krishna bestow innumerable fruits in the shape of checkered divine love. It means different flavors and forms of divine love. The Kamadhenus, cows yielding the fulfillment of desire. Again, we're talking about the Kamadhenus found in the heavenly planets. They give milk when they are milked. But the Kamadhenus of Goloka pour forth oceans of milk in the shape of the fountain of love, showering transcendental bliss that does away with the hunger and thirst of all pure devotees. What an attractive world. We have so much to meditate on. There's absolutely no reason for our mind to be disturbed, angry, sad, spaced out, whatever. We have so much to meditate on. In these few verses from the Brahma Samhita, it was mentioned 4 qualities of Krishna that no other form of God has, and which makes him all attractive. It was mentioned that he beautifully plays on his flute, Venu Madhurya, and that his form is dazzling, colored like the rain cloud with 3-fold bend. So that is his Rupa Madhurya. It mentioned that he's always surrounded and served with great affection by thousands and millions of Lakshmis or Gopis. He's always surrounded by loving associates, having loving pastime, loving exchange with them. So that's his Prema Madhurya. And then Leela Madhurya, that he's always engaged in attractive pastimes with his eternal associates. So we have more than enough to meditate on, and it behooves us to be our best friend. You have to be your best friend. Don't expect somebody else to do it for you. We have to control our own mind and put it right here at the feet of Radharadhakanta. We have his Venu Madhurya, his Leela Madhurya, his Rupa Madhurya, and his Prema Madhurya to constantly meditate on. And if we find ourselves or we find others exhibiting symptoms that their mind is somewhere else, then we need to be our best friend and other people's best friends by bringing their mind back to this point. Because as Shukadev said to Parikshit in today's verse, that you only got 7 days at most to live, and I'm talking all these things to you, but the pure devotees deserve to see more magnificent, what was the word used? More glorious things in transcendence beyond these features. So by Srila Prabhupada's incredible mercy, we have such glorious features to meditate on. So we'll stop there, see if there's any discussion. Anything? All right, so now we can spend our day meditating on these glorious features of Krishna. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai.